Well, this is a pretty silly concept, but I'm going to do it anyway, for fighting dinosaurs and their weapons. My son, who's only 6, loves to talk about and think about animals fighting, dinosaurs included, too. So first up, Ankylosaurus, the Sherman tank of dinosaurs, as it's been described. This was from the late Cretaceous period, about 65 million years ago, something like that, 68 million. And this was the notable weapon, if in fact it was a weapon, which I feel it must have been. It was over 20 feet long, weighed 4 to 8 tons, had armor on its back, especially its sides, its flanks, and had this bone-weighted, flexible impact weapon of a tail. And I think I got this right, it exclusively swung side to side, so pretty interesting. Against a large predator, seems like you'd only be able to attack the legs that way. Like so many animal weapons, it could have been used to fight over females with, but it doesn't seem that way. Like it would really, it's more of an injury-producing implement meant to keep large predators away, or to make them regret getting too close. Moving on to one of the most easily recognized dinosaurs around, the Stegosaurus. Well, I guess he's not around anymore, but there are the telltale plates along the back. And there's actually controversy about whether or not those are defensive weapons. It seems to me they just must be. Come on, large predator trying to reach down, bite, the back. That would be the most vulnerable spot for a taller animal kind of attacking downward, right? And then there's the fact that there's an offensive weapon, what certainly must be one, on the creature, and that's of course the spiked tail. So if you think about it, he's protected in all aspects, in the front by his teeth, all along the back by the plates, and then of course at the tail end with the tail. That has to be one of those wicked-looking adaptations of all time, that tail. The Stegosaurus lived in the late Cretaceous period. All of our dinosaurs today did, and all of them were from North America too. Didn't plan it that way, it just happened. They were about 9 feet tall and up to 30 feet long, weighed 3.5 tons, but famously had a brain the size of a walnut. And now Pachycephalosaurus, who is thought of as kind of the head-butting dinosaur, and you can see why. Just look at that skull. It's easily its most remarkable feature, but there's some confusion about that. I mean, that skull really is shaped like a bullet, and it was remarkably thick. It was like 10 inches thick. Meanwhile, the human skull is measured, the top of it, in millimeters. So you've got a really thick battering ram type skull, and you also have those thick, kind of thorny spikes on the head as well, so it definitely seems like the head was a weapon. The question is, if it was, how was it used? So it's actually not well designed for a straight head-on, ram type motion, because it's kind of angular, and your buddy's or your rival's head is going to clash on there but slip off. Both of them are going to find angles and just immediately kind of slide off. This is shaped very much like an ancient helmet, a lot of ancient helmets, and that's what they were designed to do, to get the incoming force to shed off and protect you. So maybe it was more about protecting than striking. However, the prevalent thought on reconciling all this is that maybe the head was used to kind of swing laterally into the flanks of your opponent, kind of like giraffes do when they're sparring. So it could be used against a predator if the need arises, but probably used in that kind of combat, and then you kind of picture them spinning around, trying to get around each other, like two wrestlers or judo competitors circling, looking for the right angle of attack. And these real stubby horns here, I guess I'll call them that, maybe they could provide some goring damage. If you could picture him kind of flicking the top of his head into the side of an opponent, well, that could explain those. Now on to the final of the final four. A very famous dinosaur with an easily recognized outline. Look how great the detail is on that horn, by the way. So it's the Triceratops, my favorite as a kid. Its head is just bristling with offensive and defensive adaptations, so just nowhere good to get a bite here, and you're in trouble as long as you can keep that head facing you. The shield is actually called a frill, which is a terrible name for something that big and cool. Specimens have been found with puncture marks in that shield. I'll call it a shield. So that obviously speaks to using it against your own kind. Others had bites taken out of them, like large bites, so that speaks to using them against predators. So just imagine the power it would take to bite through that right there. Triceratops was about 30 feet long and 5 tons. I don't think I'd mentioned that yet. And he's the final one, as I mentioned. Here's a super close-up. Just amazing detail there, but that is also the end of the video. Thanks.